Hello, and welcome to the Arts Alliance webinar on the Illinois Department of Commerce and Economic Opportunities Back to Business New Business Grant Program. My name is Megan Lewis, and I will be presenting this webinar along with my colleague, Jonna Schultz. The New Biz Grant Program is currently underway, accepting applications from eligible businesses and nonprofits in Illinois. Our webinar today is designed specifically to help the creative sector in Illinois access these grant funds. We will be providing you with both the basic information needed to apply, addressing the application process and required documentation, and assistance with some of the specific questions that have already been raised by others in the creative sector about this program. But before we get started, however, it's important to understand the Alliance's role in this program. As many of you know, Arts Alliance Illinois is a statewide nonprofit organization that fights for art resources and policies that benefit its members and all Illinois residents. Our membership is composed of artists, art educators, arts advocates, nonprofit arts and culture organizations, and for-profit arts businesses. The Arts Alliance team that is focused on connecting creatives with public funding includes Casey Smith, our Director of Programs and Special Projects, Jonna Schultz and myself, the Public Funding Navigators, and our external partners, Chris Johnson with Lawyers for the Creative Arts, and Jillian Gora with BDO, Nonprofit and Grantmaker Advisory Services. The Alliance is one of nearly 100 DCEO community navigators across the state. Many of them focus on specific geographic areas within Illinois. Arts Alliance is focused on the creative sector across the entire state. As part of this role, the Alliance maintains a help desk where you can submit questions about a specific funding opportunity like New Biz, or access resources to help grow your creative business or nonprofit. We plan to expand our general support services in 2024, when we also intend to launch a series of informational business and nonprofit webinars to help further strengthen the arts and culture sector. Presently, we are focusing our resources on the DCO New Biz program. So let's get started. So the intent of New Biz is to provide grants to help compensate eligible businesses or nonprofits for losses or expenses incurred due to the COVID pandemic. They are to be used for business or nonprofit operating expenses. The New Biz Grant Program involves three organizations. First is the Illinois Department of Commerce and Economic Opportunity, or DCEO, which is the grant-making entity. DCEO has $25 million in American Rescue Plan funds that it is making available to new businesses and nonprofits that launched between January 1, 2020 and December 31, 2021 in industries most impacted by the pandemic. Lendistry is the third-party entity that is managing the grant applications. They are a minority-led small business lender that also provides loans to small businesses, as well as support government and private grant programs. And Arts Alliance Illinois is a statewide partner to DCEO, providing specific support to the creative sector through our help desk and via weekly meetings that we have with DCEO. So now let me pass it over to Jonna, who will review the grant award amounts, the eligibility criteria, and the priority arts industries.
Thanks, Megan. Grant amounts for the New Biz range from $5,000 to $30,000, and the amounts vary on whether you are a brick and mortar business or nonprofit and when you started that business or nonprofit. The highest amount, $30,000, is for brick and mortar businesses that started during the first 6 months of 2020, and that amount goes down to $20,000 for the second half of 2020, then to $10,000 for all of 2021. For home-based businesses that started in the first 6 months of 2020, they can qualify for $10,000. This goes down to $5,000 for the second half of 2020, and then there are no awards available to home-based businesses that started in 2021. One question that we've gotten already is the definition of a brick and mortar. DCEO defines brick and mortar as an entity that operates primarily out of one or more commercial or industrial facilities for which they are a tenant or owner. So it doesn't matter whether you rent or own, all you need to do is be able to provide proof of location. The start date is the date that has been recorded on the business articles of incorporation or on the business license if one is required. For a nonprofit, it's the date on the IRS determination letter. Great. So eligibility. New Biz has some very specific eligibility criteria. In addition to the date when operations started, which we just covered, your business or nonprofit has to have had a gross receipts, which is the revenue before any deductions are taken, of at least $25,000 and no more than $20 million in 2021. They have to currently be in operation in Illinois and cannot have received the business interruption grant, the back to business grant before 2023, so it does not include the B2B arts, the shuttered venue operations grant from the U.S. Small Business Administration, or the restaurant revitalization funds. Also, you had to either be operating in a DCO priority industry or be a business that is majority owned by someone who received unemployment benefits between March the 12th of 2020 and the date the business started, which is no later than December the 31st of 2021. So DCO has a long list of priority industries for this grant program. Within that list, they include 6 that are specifically connected to the creative sector. All of these have some caveats or specific requirements. The first is the live venue operators or promoters. This includes theatrical producers, live performing arts organization operators, and talent representatives that were eligible for but did not receive the shuttered venue operating grant. The second is the performing or presenting arts organizations. They have a primary mission or integral to their primary mission, performance or presentation of art to the public. So these include artistic disciplines like dance, film, literary arts, media arts, music, theater, and visual arts. Art education organizations, the primary mission or integral to their primary mission, the provision of arts learning, or to have more than 50% of their business activity related to providing that arts education. Service providers and organizations for the arts that primarily provide services for art sector. That includes vendors in design, sound, equipment rental or preparation, casting, hair and makeup, talent management, booking, photography and videography, and printing. And service organizations for the arts sector that provide these professional services, training, or technical assistance. Remember that over 50% of the earned revenue must come from the performing these activities, so including art events, performances, and exhibits. Spectator and social services. These can include makeup and hair, caterers, photographers, promoters, event planners, florists, and printers. And again, note that more than 50% of the earned revenue must come from the art sector. And finally, museum and movie theaters. These were eligible for the shuttered venues operators grant, but did not receive one. You can see the full list of priority industries on the B2B New Biz website under priority industry definitions. And I'm going to pass it back to Megan now, who will go over the required documentations, how to start your application, and tips for a smooth application process.
Thanks, Jonna. So for the application itself, there are only a few pieces of information that are required for everyone. First is the applicant certification. This is an online form that you'll fill out and sign, where you self-certify the truthfulness and accuracy of the information you provide in the application and supporting documents for the business or nonprofit for which you are applying. You'll need to print out the certification, sign it, and then upload it in PDF format. Next is a government-issued photo ID. This you will provide via Persona, which is a third-party platform. It's embedded in the application that helps prevent fraud. So you'll upload a picture of your government-issued ID, and then you'll take a selfie with a device with a front-facing camera. And DCO has guidance on their website for best practices for taking your picture. Third is the documentation that shows the date that your business or organization was established. Now you can use one of the different documents that's shown here to demonstrate that date. And if you're a sole proprietor, you may not have this documentation. We will be addressing that later in this webinar. And the final item you'll need to provide is your 2021 tax return, which is either your federal business tax return or your 990 if you're a nonprofit. And in addition to these required documents, you may need to also provide proof of tax exemption if you're a nonprofit, proof of location if applying as a brick and mortar business or nonprofit, and the professional license if it's applicable to your industry. And note that Lendistry may contact you if they have questions about any of the documents you provide or if they need additional information. Now, starting a new biz application is actually really easy. You just go to www.b2bnewbiz.com and you select apply from the menu, and that'll take you to Lendistry's site. There, you will create a new account where you'll enter the primary email address used by the owner of the entity applying. And then you just get started. You can save and come back later to the application if you need to get some more information. And just note that each time you will need to sign in using multi-factor authentication for security reasons. So you'll need to have the phone with the mobile number you used in the application to be able to receive a confirmation code. And you can sign back in anytime to also see the status of your application. And once again, just a reminder that Lendistry is there to help you with creating or accessing your application portal. And the Alliance Help Desk can also help troubleshoot for you. Now, here are a few tips that'll help make the application process go as smoothly as possible. First, the recommendation is that you use Google Chrome as your browser. You want to be sure to clear your cache, use incognito mode, and disable your pop-up blocker. And there are detailed instructions on how to do all of these on the B2B site under tips for applying. You also want to save all the documents you need to upload in PDF format. And it's recommended that you go ahead and put them into a separate folder so that you can easily find them for upload or for dragging and dropping. Also, use an email address that you check regularly and double check that it is spelled correctly. They recommend that you don't use info@contact.com or noreply.com addresses. And be sure and make note of your security questions and answers and the application number that you receive when you start your application. This will help ensure that you can access your application after you've started it. Now, we've learned from Lendistry that people seem to be stopping at the identity verification and the document upload stages. And if you get stuck at either of these places, please reach out to the help desk and we can help you through those items. And remember that you'll not be able to click submit unless all the required documents have been uploaded and identity verification has been made. Now, John is going to address some of the questions that we've already received at the Alliance Help Desk.
Thanks, Megan. So we've received, this program's only been open for about 2 weeks, and the Alliance has already received some questions that are particularly relevant. They include determining the amount of gross receipts for 2021 and whether or not you're considered a sole proprietor, and how do you demonstrate that? So after the start date for your business or nonprofit, the second piece of information that's needed is the amount of money earned in 2021. Gross receipts is the money that was made before any adjustments or deductions are applied. This particular line on each type of tax return is noted by the blue arrows. If you are a sole proprietorship, you will find this on your Schedule C, line 1. If you're a partnership, it will be on line 1A of your Form 1065. And if you are a corporation or an S Corp filing the 1120 or the 1120S, you will find that number on line 1A. If you're a nonprofit, you will find the information that you need on line 12 of your 990, or if you file the 990 Easy, it will be on line L. Remember that you're also required to upload your 2021 tax return. So the number that you provide in the application should match the number in the tax return you provide. Also, if you only had revenue for part of 2021, DCO will calculate the annualized revenue for 2021. And this means they will take a partial amount and multiply it to get an estimated annual revenue amount. For example, if you earned $7,000 in the last 3 months of 2021, the annualized amount is $28,000. So, the New Biz program is for businesses or nonprofit organizations, and one type of business is a sole proprietorship, which the IRS defines as someone who owns an unincorporated business by him or herself. This can include a side gig, freelance job, or a new business, as long as it's just you. Sole proprietors are eligible for the New Biz grant money, $5,000, but the required documentation needs to be addressed in a slightly different way. You may not have the professional business license or proof of organization, but that's okay. There's a workaround for that. If you don't have either of those documents, we can help you through this process. For the professional business license, you can see that there. This is not a mandatory requirement. You can just skip that field in the application. For the proof of business organization, their application does require that something is uploaded. When a document is required, but there's no information to provide, the best practice is to provide a document that includes an explanation. So for example, with that, you can create and save a PDF as a document that states, proof of business organization is not required for my industry. Save that to the folder with the other documents to upload, and then provide it when it's required. And now I'll pass it back to Megan for the review and approval process.
Thanks, Jonna. So for the review and approval process, Lendistry is processing applications in the order that they're received. After you've completed and submitted your application, the first step is for Lendistry to determine if you meet the minimum eligibility requirements. Now note, this does not mean you will receive an award. It's just the first step. And if they need additional information or documents, they will reach out to you either by email or phone. After this step, if an application is fully validated, then Lendistry will contact you to notify if you have been approved or declined for funding. And if you're approved, you'll receive a grantee agreement and a W-9 form as DocuSign documents in Lendistry's portal. You'll need to initial, sign, and date the documents to be able to receive the funds. If you're declined, you have 5 days to call customer service and request a re-review. If you haven't contacted them in 5 days, the determination is considered final. And if you run into this situation, please contact us at the help desk as well as contact Lendistry. We may be able to troubleshoot this problem for you. So for more assistance with your application, we recommend that you check out the New Biz FAQs on DCO's site and that you review Lendistry's technical tips for applying. And again, you can always reach out to us through the help desk. And remember, you can submit a ticket 24/7, but you should expect responses to come during normal business hours. And you can always check the status of your application on the Lendistry portal using the username, password, and mobile number with which you registered. You'll need to do that multi-factor authentication each time you log in, but then you can see the status of your application on the dashboard. And applications are open now, but they will close on January 11th, 2024 at 11:59 p.m. So we hope that this webinar has been helpful to you and it's addressed questions that you had about the New Biz Grant Program. And if you need any assistance with your application or if you have questions that we did not answer, please feel free to submit a ticket to the help desk. And if you just want to let us know that you did apply, that would be really helpful for us for our program reporting. So thank you for your time and we look forward to hearing from you. Take care.